I don't do that. I should do that.
Well, try it.
Do we stand?
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Great job. Very good session. Thank you all. Great job yesterday.
Thank you. That was fun. Yeah, it was a good activity. Great.
That's the best thing about it.
Yes. For the first time, it was
I
like
was really impressed to see how everybody.
So I need to thank the governor, Senator Paxton,
Yeah, just do that.
and then a little bit about
thank you.
we had second degree.
Done. Thank you for that.
Years
Really
wasn't
hard
enough.
on that.
Yeah.
So
I think don't feel any stress over it. Just keep it quick.
Yeah.
Anticipation.
So you can tell I'm the opposite of my daughters.
Oh,
Because Brooke and I laughed so Mom, it's because you were always behind the curtain
there you go.
telling me how good I was.
There you go.
And you never
It's amazing that you're doing what you do. Absolutely amazing.
Good morning. As soon as I talk, a truck comes by. But good morning. Thank you, everybody, for being here on an issue that has bipartisan support in the state legislature. This is an issue involving human trafficking that Texas has zero tolerance for. And that shows up in the legislation that I'm about to sign, but also shows up every single day when you see and hear what members of the Texas legislature talk about. They are angry about human traffickers, and they want to ensure that Texas has the toughest laws to prevent human trafficking in the state of Texas. Someone who shares that passion, someone who cares dearly about and actively involves herself in supporting the victims of human trafficking is the fabulous First Lady of Texas, Cecilia Abbott, who joins with us here today. I'm going to sign two laws today that address this issue. Before I do, however, I want to recognize, in addition to the members of the legislature and the First Lady who are involved in this, we know that legislation like this gets across the finish line because there are, unfortunately, so many survivors. And importantly, those survivors come to the Capitol and let us know what the problems are, or what the best solutions are to help those survivors. And I thank all the survivors of human trafficking for stepping up and telling their stories, sharing their insight, talking about what needs to be done to help their lives. And we got advocates also who work on this every single day. When you add all that together, that's one reason why Texas is so successful in passing the anti-human trafficking legislation that we passed. So on the zero tolerance side, we want to ensure that we do all we can so that human traffickers never walk the streets of Texas again. These two bills I'm going to sign to help achieve that goal. One is Senate Bill 1212. It increases the penalty for all human trafficking offenses to a first-degree felony. We want tougher penalties for our worst criminals, and Senate Bill 1212 gets that job done. And then the worst of the worst are human traffickers of children and people with disabilities. House Bill 2306 ensures that those traffickers will serve every single day of their prison sentence behind bars. No parole for these worst of the worst. Among other things, this will protect survivors from the trauma of having to attend parole hearing after parole hearing and have to go through that whole experience again. So I want to thank Senator Parker and Representatives Villalobos and Helen Kerwin for stepping up and getting this legislation to my desk. Bill 2306 and House Bill 1212 are law in the state of Texas. Next, we'll have Senator Parker.
Well, thank you, Governor, for your leadership. Thank you for being so committed to this issue and this fight, all your years of service. I want to thank the First Lady as well for her incredible leadership on this topic. It means the world does to have both of you supporting us and your entire administration. Look, for me, it's been an incredible journey to work on these issues, to fight trafficking since my early days as a House member in 2008-2009 timeframe. And we recognize that the moral fabric of this state and this nation matter. And we've got to stand up against the darkness and bring light. That's what we're doing with this package of bills. I'm so proud of all of my colleagues here with me, behind us, all those that support these critical pieces of legislation that put the most horrific predators and monsters behind bars where they deserve. And so, in particular, talking about the bill that I was blessed to sponsor, being able to make certain that those individuals that would ever traffic a minor, a child in this state, one of our precious children, or someone who is disabled, will never, ever receive parole. It's critical that they serve their full sentence and then some. We need to continue to be tough. We need to continue to be aggressive and press the battle because our children are worth it. And we need to celebrate these amazing, courageous survivors because they go from the darkest of challenging times to becoming survivors, where we give them the tools and capabilities to be upwardly mobile again. But this is the fight of our time, to make certain that we are addressing this horrific crisis that affects everyone in this state and in this nation. It knows no limitations, the horrific work that these traffickers do. And under Governor Abbott's leadership, the Lieutenant Governor, our incredible legislature, we will continue to make certain that human trafficking is eradicated in Texas once and for all. Thank you again, Governor.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Parker. Now, Representative Villalobos.
Exactly 1 year ago today, you came down to Corpus Christi, and we held a fundraiser, but I told you I was wanting to win this seat to make sure that any criminal convicted of trafficking our kids in Texas should never be eligible for parole. And I'm excited. On the anniversary of that day, we were able to sign this bill. It's tremendous.
Absolutely. Incredible representation.
One of my constituents actually testified during this bill hearing. Her stepdad trafficked her and immigrants in our country. He got caught, went to prison, got out early because of good behavior. He wasn't rehabilitated at all in our prison system. He was emboldened for getting out, and he did it again. He went straight back to his stepdaughter, trafficked her, and more girls in our state, and that is unacceptable. That is why we worked hard to author this bill. It got unanimously voted out of the House and the Senate. Thank you, Senator Parker, for getting it across the finish line. This bill is much needed today, and I'm excited going forward what it means for our children to be safe from these violent criminals. Any criminal convicted of trafficking kids for sex, for labor, or disabled individuals, and any person that profits off of those heinous crimes will no longer receive parole. Thank you so much.
Congratulations on that. You know, one thing that's so empowering for people who run for office is that they want to talk about issues that are so important to them and to their constituents, to our state, and to talk about that on the campaign and then to be able to come to Austin, Texas and be able to pass legislation on that as a freshman is really extraordinary. So congratulations to you on that.
Thank you.
And now Representative Helen Kerwin.
Well, thank you, Governor Abbott, so much for this opportunity that we have today to forward this amazing journey that we are taking. You have allowed it. Your wonderful First Lady has worked so hard I was campaigning, and I had a lady come to me who has been trying to get this legislation passed for several sessions. And I told her if I get elected, I will take this on. She came today. Her name is Mary, and she's standing behind me. And her daughter was a victim and murdered by a trafficker. So I was thrilled to be able to take this on. And the first thing I noticed was a flaw in the penalty system that we have, where trafficking actually was still in Texas second degree as well as first degree. Mama. So what we did in this bill is we were able to establish all trafficking convictions are now first degree felony, which is up to 99 years. So thank you, Governor Abbott.
Good job.
Thank you.
Another successful freshman. Well, listen, we wouldn't be here again without victims and victim family members, as pointed out, but also without the courage and commitment of these state legislators. I want to thank you all again for everything that you did to get this across the finish line. I have to immediately go to Kerrville to address and assist victims of the horrific flood, but that said, I'll take a few questions before I leave. Go ahead.
How hard is it to prosecute these cases? How will you ensure that our Texas DAs are empowered to prosecute these people such that even as we see prosecution rates kind of low around our state, as these charges are dismissed or reduced, maybe?
So on the prosecution side first, because of the way these laws in particular have been structured, as well as other laws that we have passed in the last couple of sessions or two, it actually is getting easier and easier to prosecute this crime. I would suggest it may be easier to prosecute the crimes like this in Texas than any other state. On your second part of your question, you raise a challenge, and that is we do have some district attorneys who refuse to do their job. District attorneys who knowingly allow dangerous criminals back out on the street, either because of their refusal to prosecute or the refusal to obtain indictments within the time period that's required. So know this. Just like we took action during the regular session against rogue district judges who were letting dangerous criminals back out on the streets, we are committed to taking action against rogue district attorneys who are refusing to go after these dangerous criminals and prosecute them and put them behind bars. No, the rogue district attorneys who are refusing to put these criminals behind bars, we are looking to impose consequences for them. And I missed the first part. You talk about resources?
Yes.
So I mean, there's all kinds of challenge. You talk about victims of human trafficking. Yeah, there's all kinds of challenges that victims of human trafficking go through. Not just once, but it's something that they relive day after day, year after year. And so we have already, and we will continue to ensure that they have access to the resources they need. Part of that is mental health resources, emotional support. Part of it, very importantly, is also working to help put them back on a very positive pathway of getting a job, allowing them to refocus their lives in a different pathway that's going to be very productive. All of these pieces work together to ensure that we are aiding and supporting the victims of human trafficking. I'm unaware of any state in America that does more to aid and support the victims of human trafficking than does Texas.
Mm-hmm. What measures or punishments do you want to impose on the legislators who break the law?
So there's, you probably know that I added to the special session agenda an item that requires punishment and consequences for people who break quorum. First, I believe that breaking quorum the way that it was done here violates the Constitution, and there have to be consequences for that. There have been several proposals already offered up in both the House and Senate. That's a good starting point to take a look at those proposals. And what typically happens is when proposals like that arise, it's going to lead to other ideas and other strategies that members of the House and Senate will be able to consider.
Governor Abbott, can you talk a little bit about how the anti-trafficking issue got added to the call?
Sure. So this is an issue that actually has been bubbling up since the early days of COVID. And there was a lot of misinformation about ivermectin. And in the time since then, there's been a realization that this is a product that Texans want access to, that Americans want access to, and is shown to be not encumbered with all the dangers that so many people preached. And so what we want to do in the state of Texas is to provide the ability of Texans to be able to have access to that ivermectin. We got a couple of state representatives here who have been really advancing this. One is Representative Schaffner, and the other is Representative Shelley Luther. And in part, the reason why this has come up on the agenda is because these House members, as well as others, undertook the process of understanding the need for this, leaning into it, pushing it, getting the signatures of a majority of their fellow members of the Texas House, and that qualified it for being put on the special session agenda. I want to give this to you.